you talk a little bit about what you're thinking about for clinical trials and what kind of doses you would use for those?
So we are putting together a study design at the present time for pilot studies, which the initial goal here is now to define the healthy range, define a dose response for 6 months to 1 year of 3 gram or 6 gram taurine. And once we have defined this dose response across different countries, we would then select dose for larger clinical trial, a placebo-controlled clinical trial, to really look at a variety of health span matrices, from brain to bone to muscle to liver functions to kidney functions. So we are trying to put together these expertise together, which is a very daunting task, to be tell you the honest here, because we want to do it as robustly as we did in animal studies, and with a lot of rigor. We need to have a rigorous, robust study design in place in order to investigate this question and derive 3 years or 4 years down the line conclusions that will last centuries. And that is the goal here. Right now, put together a pilot study, the best way to do the clinical trial. And we are talking with many clinicians in the US, in Germany, in Finland, in Singapore, in Australia, and in China, for us to be able to bring together this expertise. Because I am not a clinician. And I don't claim to be one. I cannot. So I can only be a person who can bring together people because of my involvement in understanding taurine, knowing the knowledge base of taurine, how it is acting in the cells, what organ functions are proximal, how organ functions are changing with age. And that is what I can do, to bring together people and let clinicians do the job. And they are the best people to do the intervention, to investigate the health benefits of taurine. Well, it will require a lot of money. Let us hope that we find that amount of money. It's not a lot, but still it is a lot. And I think we are on a good track. There are a lot of people who have shown an interest in funding parts of trials in different countries. And hopefully we'll have sufficient in next year, by the end of this year, to start a more robust study design.
Interesting. Yeah, certainly that was one of the kind of concerns that I thought about, is like taurine is not paintable. So it's like big pharma is not going to come in and provide the funds for such a trial. So it's interesting that you are moving forward with that, and good luck, because we definitely is really interesting. Because taurine it's amazing. I mean, so for years now, like rapamycin and calorie restriction have been like, these are the gold standard for life extension in mice, and now taurine seems to produce the same impact, and this is like just the first study. So I mean, and I think like when rapamycin started, it had about the same level in percentage increase that taurine has. So, I mean, potentially taurine could also be included, could be, extended to show better improvements with further work.
I tend to agree. In worms, in fact, it has much larger effect. In other model organisms, it had a 23 up to 23% increase in the lifespan with a higher dose of taurine. And we need to now perhaps optimize the way taurine is delivered to cells. A lot of ways to do it based on my knowledge of chemistry and biochemistry. The nanoparticle-based deliveries, vehicle deliveries, which you can improve the intake of cellular taurine, and perhaps investigate the processes that are providing during aging resistance to taurine metabolism in the cells, and attack those issues that are underlying the the basic biology of taurine action in the cells. And those studies will tell us a lot about how to manipulate the system better and more effectively, perhaps pharmacological intervention. And I think it will improve as we go along, hopefully soon.
Where can people follow your work and see more of what you're doing?
Well, I'm on Twitter, on Facebook, LinkedIn. I tend to use more Twitter and LinkedIn. And yeah, they can follow the kind of work we do, and we will keep it posted. I generally keep people appraised of the way we are heading towards assembling clinical studies, trying to do more understanding of basic concepts in the aging biology, identifying perhaps proximal organs that compromise in those functions lead to aging, and these are very vast. Aging is a poorly understood area, and I think it will require enormous amount of effects, because not one shoe that is going to fit all feet. This is the area, this is the age of precision medicine, precision nutrition, and we are gone are the days when we were having a same shoe size and people had to fit in their feet into those shoes. It will not be the case. In next 4 to 5 years, what I can see is that we will have a aging basket full of anti-aging molecules such as rapamycin, metformin, taurine, perhaps, and many of these molecules will be available to clinicians to select for, because some of them may work in particular organ functions better than others. So that will require more intense, more rigorous study designs for the clinical trials, and that is what needs to be done to really identify. Let all the horses run, all the anti-aging interventions, let them run in clinical trials, and see whether all of them win the race, or some of them win the race in some aspects of regulating aging process better than others, and then give this information to clinicians to really give a cocktail of anti-aging interventions to human society, which is really rapidly aging.
Yes. Actually, that's a thought, because rapamycin, like the mechanism of rapamycin, right, is to inhibit mTOR, which seems to be totally different from the way that taurine works. So potentially they could be additive. Maybe it would be
absolutely
great to try that.
It could be worth a try. And one thought of work currently is that we would like to do combinatorial interventions and try to see, at least in animal models, how they are functioning together, or additively or synergistically, or not. And perhaps provide this information out there for clinicians to make a call a few years down the line, when the intervention trials have been completed for a variety of single interventions, to make a better call on the this anti-aging cocktail that they would like to give.
Dr. Yadav, thank you so much for joining us today. That was great talking to you.
It was a pleasure, and well, I hope we give you some better news in the human clinical interventions.